Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 72, Dallas Mavericks Draft Conspiracy. So guys, in today's episode, I want to discuss something that was just like a little bit sus about the Dallas Mavericks getting the number one pick in the NBA draft and winning the draft lottery last week, despite only having a 1.8% chance of actually getting it.
You don't find that suspicious?
Was it just luck, or is there something else going on here that like the NBA isn't telling us? And it seems that several players in the NBA have these suspicions as well. Staying on the NBA topic, I also want to give my thoughts on, is Jalen Brunson actually the greatest Knick ever? Or are we jumping the gun a little bit too soon? Furthermore, I also have a clip that talks about Tyrese Halliburton and how he was voted the most overrated player in the NBA by his fellow players, and yet he was able to use this as fuel and motivation, but also how he didn't let others define his value.
All of you, I know you got him. I know you got him picked, but the man's in trouble. I'm going to show you how great I am.
I also want to share a really heartwarming post and story coming from Travis Hunter that came up on my social media feed last week, and why this shows how you're never too big to be kind to others. I also have a Pat Spencer clip that talks about how back in high school, he got cut from basically every team on his way to then becoming the best lacrosse player in the country, and then currently an NBA player. And this is why where you're at currently doesn't have to be where you're going to end up. And finally, I have an Alex Hormozy clip that talks about how getting through the hard things in life, while of course it may suck in the moment, you do always feel this tremendous sense of accomplishment afterwards. So without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am Jared Weiss. For you guys to know, that must mean not subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through by Jared Weiss. All links purchased on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. That's JAREDRYANWEIS.com. Buy the book, and also make sure to check out all the awesome shirts I have on there, like the one that I'm currently wearing. All of them are designed by me. All of them have their own motivational words in them. And every shirt is 100% organic cotton, so what could be better than that? Anyways, any support at all is very much appreciated. So first up, we have the Dallas Mavericks Draft Conspiracy. So last week, as many of us know by now, the Dallas Mavericks won the NBA Draft Lottery to get the first pick in the draft, which was most likely going to be Duke star player Cooper Flagg. However, the odds of them getting that first pick were just 1.8%.
It just don't add up!
And as we all know, Mavericks GM Nico Harrison was dragged through the dirt for the past several months for making by all accounts a horrible trade when he gave up 26-year-old star player who's an all-time great already in Luka Doncic to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, who of course is great in his own right, but also 7 years older and very injury prone. Since that trade, the NBA popularity largely went up as the top player went to an even bigger market to join star player LeBron James. After all these early season talks like the NBA wasn't exciting enough and wasn't doing well, so the conspiracy goes, did Adam Silver force Nico Harrison to give up Luka and tell him that like in return for this he was going to give him and the Mavericks the number one pick in the draft? And furthermore, there were also other talks that like the Mavericks may have been like purposely losing at the end of the season to allow for some gambling or casino rights in Texas or something like that. And also LeBron James, in his interview on the Pat McAfee show a few months ago, had insinuated that the draft lottery was rigged when it came to the Cleveland Cavaliers getting the number one pick in order to draft him and bring him back to his hometown.
During the lottery drop, Cleveland got the number one pick. I just don't think that was. Just,
What are you
coincidence,
saying? Don't you see?
Wemby with the Spurs.
Let's keep LeBron home. Patrick Ewing to the Knicks.
Or also Patrick Ewing going to the Knicks was another one. Furthermore, I also saw a graphic the other day showing that like this has been a pattern where whenever a team makes a big, seemingly lopsided trade, and then that team ends up getting the number one pick. I mean, it says here, the Cavs won the lotto immediately after LeBron left. The Pelicans won the lotto immediately after the CP3 trade. The Pelicans won the lotto again immediately after the Anthony Davis trade. The Mavs win it immediately after the Luka trade. You can't convince me it's not rigged. Interesting. Now look, as I've spoken about in the past, there was a period of time where like I was sort of teetering on this idea of sports being scripted. But look, I don't believe like the players are in on it themselves, at least the vast majority of them, and like I don't think the players are acting when they're playing. However, the leagues themselves most definitely try to manipulate the results, and refs, of course, as we saw with the whole Tim Donaghy story, will make bad calls to favor certain teams. So I don't know for sure, but the Mavericks getting the number one pick after everything that's happened this season is definitely a little bit sus. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts down below. Anyways, getting back to some positive sports talk. So this time I am currently filming this video a few days in advance, so hopefully this conversation is still relevant by the time the video comes out next week. But anyways, back to the NBA playoffs. If the Knicks make it to the finals, is Jalen Brunson the greatest Knick of all time? Now, of course, some of the other names who come up in that conversation are Walt Frazier, Bernard King, Carmelo Anthony, and of course Patrick Ewing. Now, I feel like some people have some recency bias and some short-term memory when it comes to Carmelo Anthony on the Knicks, because I remember when he was on the team. I remember like everyone was calling him a ball stopper and saying how like the Knicks couldn't win with him. Now, me personally, I do think he's one of the greatest scorers of all time and one of the best offensive players, but I don't think the team won enough with him. Now, of course, Patrick Ewing never won any championships either, and Brunson hasn't won any yet at the time of filming this, but I do think that's ultimately the conversation and who it comes down to and who it should be centered around, those two. So of course impact goes beyond just the numbers, but Patrick Ewing was on the Knicks for 15 years, and he averaged over 20 and 10 in many of those seasons. He also took the Knicks to the playoffs in 13 of those years, which as many of us know in recent years, was not a common occurrence for a while after that. Brunson, on the other hand, has been in the Knicks for 3 years now, but he's already been a 2-time All-Star, put up incredible numbers, and he won Clutch Player of the Year this year, as well as is possibly on the verge of carrying the Knicks to a finals appearance. And being part of the whole social media era, I do think like the impact of Brunson has been magnified by like 1 million times, but just looking at all that, it might be too early to crown Brunson the greatest player in Knicks history already, just because of the short time span like he's been here. But if we do look at how he essentially brought the Knicks out of this misery, and now he's taking them to some massive heights, and has performed on another level in this playoffs, I do think like the argument is starting to be made.
We're not talking. We're just talking.
Let me know your thoughts on that topic in the comments below once again. Moving right along, we have a clip talking about what I assume will be the Knicks' opponent in the conference finals by the time this video comes out. So this clip has to do with Indiana Pacers guard Tyrese Halliburton and how he was ranked as the most overrated player in the NBA by his peers, so let's watch together.
This dude is trash. Don't believe me? Here's the proof.
Jarris Walker comes in for Rick Carlisle. Siakam sits. Didn't look like Siakam was pleased.
And there you have it. 20,000 people calling him overrated. You see, they did this secret poll, and on the poll they asked his co-workers, other NBA players, who was the most overrated. And he got the top vote. Now, he could have crumbled under the pressure, like some people that we know, or he could do this.
Do a much better job of getting open. Misses Halliburton the rebound. 9 seconds. They do have a timeout. Carlisle's going to let him play. Halliburton steps back and hits.
You see, no matter what you do in this life, you're always going to have critics and doubters. And Tyrese Halliburton is a perfect example of how you handle them. By being better than they think you are. By doing what they said that you couldn't do. If you use that negativity as fuel, you'll get the last laugh.
There's so much this ties into our own self-worth and understanding where it actually comes from. Everyone else can think what they want about us, because of course we can't control the opinions of others, but the question is, do you believe that about yourself? Do you know your value and what you bring to the table? And this of course goes way beyond just basketball, but this is why you can't let others decide your value for you. Know it for yourself and let everyone else think what they may. It's up to you to write your own story. And another clip coming from the same guy, Quazon, I think his name is, that's to do with one of the words like we hear most in our lives is the word no.
How about no?
But then how does this actually shape our own belief system about ourselves and what we're capable of?
Can you take a guess which word you've heard 148,000 times from the day you were born until your 18th birthday? It's this one.
No. No. No.
Ah, no wonder you doubt yourself. No wonder you hesitate so much.
You gonna take control like Janet or lose control like Misty? The decision is yours. Boss up or be a pussy.
But what if I told you that 90% of the limitations that you have in your mind are not really yours? They were put there by somebody else. They were put there by your family, your friends, and your culture. But here's the part that they don't teach you. You are who you think you are. But I'll let him tell it.
I'm gonna show you how great I am. I'm gonna prove to the whole world that I'm still the best. I'll always be the best.
Your brain is complex, but it's also simple. It believes what it hears most of the time, especially when it comes from you. It doesn't matter how many times they told you no. You could start the reprogramming today. It's your mind. And now you have control, because eventually the voice in your head becomes your reality. So remember this.
Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something.
So first off, that Pursuit of Happiness clip happens to be one of my favorite all-time clips ever. Now he's totally right in saying that like your mind is going to believe what you hear most of the time and what you tell it. And this is why I'm always talking about the power of your inputs. And this doesn't just mean your food and diet, but also the music you're listening to, the movies and TV shows like that you're choosing to watch, and the content that you listen to, the people who you're surrounding yourself with, your friends, partners, etc. If you aren't intentional with these things, you will be at the mercy of the energies around you. And if they aren't speaking positively and speaking positivity into your dreams, into your goals, and about you, you're going to be brought down. Like he says, the words that you're hearing most often will become what you think, and then these thoughts are going to turn into actions that you're taking. Next up, we have a really positive, heartwarming story that's been going around on social media about Travis Hunter, the football player who recently got drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the post said, it was coming from Sandy Hawkins Combs. It says, I had the most wonderful flight home from Denver. I met the nicest young man who sat next to me. He offered to put my bag in the overhead compartment and help me with my tray. He was always polite, saying yes ma'am or no ma'am. Anyone would be proud to have him as a son or grandson, so polite. People walking by were saying congratulations, great job, or even taking pictures. I turned and asked him, who am I sitting next to? I looked at his Jaguar pants, smiled and asked, are you an athlete? He smiled and said, yes, I'm Travis. Yes, I was drafted by the Jags. I already told my sons I won his jersey. He's so humble and down to earth. I would have never guessed he was a professional athlete. Jacksonville Jaguars, you did good. I will be buying tickets. United Airlines, thank you for my seat assignment. So remember, no matter how big you are or how big you get, you're never too big to treat people right and to be a good, kind person. These things are always going to be appreciated. You're not above being kind to people, and when you do treat others right, it comes back to you in unexpected ways. And this reminds me of a story that I referenced a few months ago, which comes from a book by Joshua Medcalf, and he talks about how when he was just getting started in personal training, he didn't have any big time clients, but what he realized was that he needed to treat them the same way as he would a big time client. He thought to himself, what if this were like Chris Paul? Would I still be getting annoyed at their questions and their needs, or would I be treating them like a valuable commodity? So what he realized to himself once again is that if you can't treat everyday people nicely and kindly and respect them in their time, then you don't deserve to have the big ones. So once again, you're never above treating people with kindness, and that kindness is always going to go a long way and it's going to be appreciated. Next we have a Pat Spencer, current Golden State Warriors player, and also at one point the best lacrosse player in college in the country. And this clip talks about him getting cut from every team growing up.
You were cut your sophomore year from the lacrosse team?
I was cut from every team. My original freshman year, I was cut from JV. I played, it's called fresh soft, literally freshmen and sophomores that don't make JV. And I realized I needed the extra year, so I decided to transfer to Boys Latin up in Baltimore, like you mentioned, and had to sit out a whole year, and then actually played JV my sophomore year there too. So technically, on paper, would have been a junior, and got cut from the varsity team as a sophomore for that, cut from varsity in hoops as well. So yeah, I've been cut from just about every team, cut from all the club teams that I tried out for. It's been quite a journey.
So this is a reminder that your present circumstances don't define where you'll be a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I had plenty of teams that I got cut from myself early on in my basketball and in my sports career, but I never let those cuts stop me from working on my game and constantly getting better so that I could have my successes later on as well. And Pat Spencer, once again, for those of you who don't know, he ends up becoming the best lacrosse player in the country, I think, and he won every award in college, and then decides to himself, you know what, lacrosse is getting too easy, I'm going to try to play basketball.
You're Batman.
Yeah, I am Batman.
So then he becomes a star college basketball player, and now he's becoming a really good NBA player on the Golden State Warriors. So where you are early on doesn't decide your future, as long as you don't quit on yourself, and as long as you don't give up on your dreams. And now finally in this week's episode, I have another really great Alex Hormozy clip that talks about how we feel pride for getting through hard things, and getting through these hard things often gives us a sense of accomplishment, unlike the easy things.
When you look back on some of the hardest things you've gone through, you probably have a sense of pride for having gotten through them. But the thing is that when you actually think about what it was like when you're doing it, it sucked, but you're proud in retrospect. And so if someone says, hey, what's it like? It's like, oh, you know what? You just gotta enjoy the moment. You gotta revel in it. It's like, you're not reveling in it. It sucks. But you keep going, you persist because of what you know it's building inside of you, the skill sets, so that you can persevere at a higher level.
Now, one point I will provide some nuance on is that while you might not necessarily enjoy or appreciate the hard parts of your journey while you're going through them, part of mindfulness is understanding that, like, there's a lot going on in any one moment, so it's not just the pain or the struggle, and you can still find things to be happy about while you're going through these challenges. But anyways, he's totally right about how these challenges create the skill set and the strength that, like, you'll need to conquer anything in life. And there's no better feeling than, like, being able to look back after going through a crazy obstacle course of challenge after challenge and being like, wow, I can't believe I did this, but I didn't give up, and look at where I am now. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed all the topics. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the episode, make sure to subscribe to the channel, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding, keep going. Love you guys. Peace.